Hey everyone, Simon Hurley from Inklips here, and today I'm going to be creating a fun card using 3 different stamp sets. I'm going to be creating a window card that kind of pops up some different characters. It's not my usual style, but I'm super excited to show you guys how to create it today. I'm starting the card off by stamping down both of the little cabins or cottages down onto the center of this cardstock panel, and this will act as my window later, so when I lift these up, the little animal heads will be showing later on during the card. I'm going to stamp it down using some Copic-friendly ink, and I'm going to be using my Misty just so I get them super straight on the center of my card. I'm also stamping it down onto a piece of blue construction paper here, and this is super thin, and it'll act as my mask. You can also use masking paper, but I find that this is a cheaper solution, and it works well for one-time use, but if you want to get more uses than one, you probably want to use some masking paper, and you can just stick that right to the stamp set and use it more than once. I just cut these out and add some removable adhesive to them and stick them right onto the stamped image here so that I can stamp a background onto my panel. I just add these really carefully, and I don't add too much adhesive onto it, otherwise it will rip up some of the cardstock. Then I'm going to take this really cool watercolor background textured stamp. It's actually supposed to go along with a leaf, but today we're just going to use it as an abstract background, something to just give a little bit of interest, sort of like a sky in the background. I've inked it up with 3 different colors of ink, and I'm going to stamp that down, and also I'm going to use this line of trees to stamp down in some light gray ink. So I stamped it off once. I'm using black ink right here, and then I'm going to stamp it down onto my regular card. Now I don't know why I didn't just start off with gray ink, because this didn't show up too well, so I ended up actually going back in with some gray ink, which is a little bit darker, and it showed up much better on my card. After that's all done, I'm going to be coloring in my little cabins with the Copic colors, so I'm just going to turn on some music here so you guys can watch, and I'll be right back in a little bit to finish off the card. After everything's all colored in, I'm going to start off by cutting these cabins out. I'm going to just use an X-Acto knife and go over every line a couple of different times because this cardstock is super thick and it takes a lot of effort to cut through it. And I'm also not too great with cutting an X-Acto knife out and doing it really straight, so really take your time and it'll end up turning out better in the long run because it'll last quite a bit longer and it'll look a lot better if you cut out really close to the lines. Also, I'm just leaving a little bit of room on the top of the roof and the chimney to make sure that this opens up like a flap and doesn't fall off. Also, they do have dies to cut this out, but it doesn't cut out quite like this. It's for a different type of card that I've made in the past. So just take your time with this and make sure that it's done really well and your card will turn out great. So after this, I'm kind of folding them over, and I'm going to create some lines here because I'm going to be stamping the little images that are going to go underneath the houses. So I'm just lining it up where the stamped image are going to go, and after that, I'm going to pull that off and stamp those images down. Now there was only room for really the head of a snowman and a penguin inside of these, and these are quite small images as well. Now in the long run, I could have just stamped them inside so you could see the whole body later on, but I decided to just stick it with it on the front of the card. So then I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to turn on some more music right here and color these in, and I'll be right back in just a second to finish off the full card. I thought this card needed just a little bit more detail, so I'm taking some reindeer hooves, and I'm going to stamp them in using some gray ink and double stamping them so it looks like there's some darker and some lighter footprints in the grass to add a little bit of extra interest here. Now I'm just creating them in a little circle right around our scene on the card, so it looks like it's pulling it all together. Then I'm also going to stamp some clouds in the sky using the same color ink and the same double stamping to add even a little bit extra interest as well. I'm only going to stamp just a couple of clouds, and I'm dabbing off some of the sides to make it look like the cloud has some variation in it. That way it's not too solid on my card and it doesn't pull away all the interest. So I'm just going to finish stamping those down, and once that is finished, I'm going to stamp down my sentiment, which just says Merry Christmas, and I'm stamping this in a dark black ink, and I'm going to go over it a couple of times because I'm using my Misty here, and that's one of the great things about the Misty, you can stamp your sentiment way more than once. So I'm just pressing that down, and it'll put that sentiment right in the center of my card. I'm going to finish it off by adding it onto a card base here, which shows the little penguin's head and the little snowman's head through the window, which I think is super awesome. And I'm going to add a couple of different sequins because I really haven't added a lot of embellishments lately on my cards. So I decided today was the day to add a couple of different sequins, and I also tied a little bow on the top of my card using twine. That part got cut off though, but I just decided to embellish this card quite a bit because I thought it was a little bit bland. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this card. I really enjoyed creating another interactive card and spending a lot of time on it, even though this isn't quite my style, mixing the cartoony kind of style and the realistic and everything. I really appreciate you guys stopping by today, and I hope you enjoyed this interactive card. If you did, please leave a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below if you want to become a part of the Inklips family and you'll never miss more content like this from me. I'll have all the supplies listed over at my blog, inklips.com, and I'll leave a link on screen here. You can click my logo and I'll go head over there. If you want, you can also check out my 2 other videos that are linked on screen here. You can check out some more of my content with those videos and look more around my channel.